Hello, everybody. Welcome to season 3 of Fat Chats with Melissa and Jade. On Fat Chats, we come together to talk about everything to do with sex, pleasure, relationships, hormones, nervous system, rebalancing, and basically showing up as all of ourselves inside of our relationships so we can have amazing, pleasure filled, free, and fun experiences in love and with ourselves. So today we are jumping in, up leveling. Actually, we're really excited today because we've decided to take Fat Chats out of predominantly being in Instagram Live. We wanted to bring some amazing sound quality to our listeners because we know that there's many of you who've been asking, when is Fat Chats back? Thank you all so much for being present with us for the past year since we started Fat Chats. And now you're going to be able to listen on your favorite channels through Spotify and YouTube and the other glorious places. So, Melissa, how are you?
Oh my God, I'm so well. I was giggling when you're saying, now that we have equipment so you can listen, a major part of talking is the other side, the listeners. And I can't believe we're up to season 3. So I'm really excited. And as you know, this is my happy place, jamming with you, honey, chatting in fat ways around all things sex and pleasure.
Thanks, honey. And giggling and getting extremely
Mm.
sidetracked in the best of ways.
I thought you were about to say scientific. I'm like, wrong channel, hun. I have a sidetracked is exactly
Totally.
it. So
So,
what's today's topic, my hun?
we are talking about the nervous system and how, by default, society is desensitized in our nervous system because we're in this perpetual state of burnout. And
Mm,
we have this mega high tolerance to lots of things now because we've had to become extremely resilient. And how this translates in relationships is that we're often desensitized to what our nervous system really needs.
mm,
And this came from us having our sister chats last week. And as some of you know, I'm in a place of exploring dating again after a 3-year relationship ending. And I've had a few dates and experiences where I just felt anxious and I couldn't explain why. And I thought about it and I thought about it. And then I had this epic breakthrough where I just got to the point where I just thought to myself, it doesn't feel right. It's not, my nervous system doesn't feel calm. I'm in a state of wondering what's wrong and wanting to fix the problem, which is the immediate thing that happens when our primal brain has kicked in. And then we're in this response of like a trauma loop response, right? So the breakthrough for me was just being able to say, I don't feel calm in this, and I don't need to know why.
mm,
And what I know that I want is a peaceful, beautiful connection. I'm not going to toughen the fuck up to be in this. I don't care how good the sex is. I don't care how many tickets or boxes this ticks on paper level. My nervous system doesn't feel calm, and that's all I need to know.
mm.
And then you mentioned about how, in general, we are often very desensitized across the board. And so that's when we were like, yeah, let's bounce on
Yeah,
this.
let's speak more about this. I mean, I've written a few, but one post recently, but I know a little while ago as well, I wrote an email, and the title is "We Lived in a Trauma-Based Society."
Mm.
And I can't exactly remember what inspired me to write about that, but there's this constant flavor of get over it, get on with it, and deal with it. And I think also too, like I've been reading some incredible, like really, really frightening and disheartening reports of, you know, what's been happening in people's mental health over the last 2 years, etc. I shouldn't
Yeah.
say, I'm not being etc. to dismiss that, but even before these last 2 years that we've had with this situation in the world, like worldwide situation, the perception that working really hard, not getting enough sleep, upping, you know, our neighbor, keeping up with the Joneses is expected to be how we live our life. And what it does is it creates us to be in a constant running situation. So when we're looking at pelvic health, just pelvic health alone, and with me working with male clients, when we're looking at soft cock, erectile dysfunction, premature ejaculation issues, and I really am into changing that word issues. It's like when your cock is not working the way you want it, I really love supporting men to go, well, that's not an issue. It's actually talking to you. It's working perfectly. It has a function informing you that you need to look at stuff that has got you to this point. And it's around
Mm.
stress, lack of sleep, the fact that we're not happy. We don't live lives that are happy. We actually don't have weekends off anymore. It's really normal. I'm always pissed off, but also really surprised at the amount of messages I get through Instagram, excuse me, on a Sunday demanding that I answer. And the fact that, and asking stuff, I'm like, it's Sunday. Do you like, I don't work on Sundays. Like when I give out my uh calendar and stuff like that, just the and people can ask whatever they want, of course I'm free to answer them or not, but it astounds me that people approach businesses on a Sunday, or they approach someone about work on a Sunday. Like, I don't know if it's because I'm old and that I was raised where you would have Saturday and Sunday off, and you did not like I was raised where you don't ring people on a Sunday. It's the day off, it's the family day. So coming from, you know, when we're coming from a society or a culture that had rest, you know, structured into it, we don't live in a society that has rest. We're meant to earn our rest. We're meant to earn our time off.
Oh,
It's not a
yeah.
given. Do you know what I mean? And you get, I mean, the, what's the other word for teasing? You know, when, if you are having time off, it's like, you know, things that get said to you, it's like, oh, it's all right for you. Well, aren't you a lucky one for resting, taking care of yourself, having a nap? Like, our trauma-based society requires us to be constantly on, which means our nervous system is in constant fight and flight. And it
Mm.
comes up it shows up in so many areas of relating, of making love, intimacy, touch, the ability to have conversations. I mean, we were just talking about that before here, of like what happens in the nervous system when we believe something's going on and we
Yeah.
forget to ask the right questions, and our brain goes into stories that we're not safe to ask the right questions. We're consistently navigating the fear and the flight in our nervous system. And now we
Mm.
don't get retrieve from it. We don't get a break from it, especially if you watch the news, which I don't, but it's always thrown in our face. So,
Wow. So many good points, babe. Can we just call it erectile stress function?
erectile stress function. Yeah.
Erectile stress, like whatever. I think we
Mm,
should come up with a new term that is reflective, because it's so true. Like, it's the same with our yoni.
mm,
You know,
mm-hmm.
if our if our pussy and our cock is not turned on, it's actually got so much to do with how much cortisol we have running through our body. And cortisol is a stress hormone. If we're
Mm-hmm.
not getting adequate sleep, if we're smashing the substances, if we're drinking too much coffee and smoking too many ciggies, and then there's not enough, you know, I'm not promoting any of this, but it is a thing. Like, go through stress. What do you reach for? So that's the first question to ask yourself. What do I reach for? And how is that affecting my hormone level? And so for us women, we have our monthly report card when we're, when we're premenstrual, we will see immediately how our hormone levels are, where we're at with our cortisol. So wherever we're at right now, just want to speak to that level of high trauma that we have been through as a society, as a matrix of beautiful humans who have gone through so freaking much with a very controlling and ridiculous social system that's basically set up so only a few people win and everyone else has just got to run on the treadmill. And I really love this point that you made. We have to earn our rest. Like, who said? Is there a worthiness measure? Oh, I'm not worthy to rest because I haven't done all the things. I haven't done my homework, sir. So
I haven't earned enough money. I haven't cleaned the house. I haven't done this. I haven't done that. Do you remember? Oh, what was his name? He was pale.
The time when we fell in love. I do,
Yes,
honey.
I do.
I remember. It was love at first sight. As soon as I saw your sexy, sexy little tiny ass and your high heels and your flailing hair, I was in.
Smitten like a kitten.
Totally smitten.
But there was a prime minister, like, just to change gears. He was very pale. Australian prime minister who was pale and pasty. Bless, because they're inside all the time, working their little asses off.
How far back are we going?
I know. When was the time? When were the prime ministers in charge of taking care of the country?
Was it Bob Hawke?
Oh, yes. I knew you would psychically pick up. Mr. Bob Hawke, he said, well, someone said as well, I think it was him, because when all the whole iPhone paraphernalia came, like when we had phones that then we could run our lives from, like moving from Nokia. I hung on to my little fucking Nokia for so long. I traveled Indonesia with this little Nokia. I loved it.
How good were they? Was yours a flip one?
A flip up? You couldn't break those things. They would fly out of my pocket off the motorbike. They'd go screaming across the highways. You'd come back 20 minutes later, find it still worked. Worked. Anyway, digressing. The iPhones, when all of the phone paraphernalia came out, he promoted to Australians that this was a really good thing because it would mean that we would only be working Mondays to Thursdays and we would have 3-day weekends because it would give us freedom.
Right.
Well, that turned itself
good job, Bob.
down, didn't it? On your job. On your Bob.
Good
you
job,
fell asleep
Bob.
on the job.
What we've actually created is an entire system of people that are addicted to their screens, and which is even better for cortisol.
It's yes, the cortisol dopamine. Yeah.
Yes, can we talk about this thing of what the screen time does to cortisol levels? Because the screen sends light particles into your skin and it tells your body that it's time to be awake. And so there is a reason that we have this circadian rhythm. And now a circadian rhythm is basically awake with the sun and asleep with the sun. This is what our ancestors did. They had low lighting after dark, where they sat by fires and read by candlelight. So the circadian rhythm is the best rhythm for having a sexy motherfucking life. And when we are,
ladies and gentlemen,
they
no
have
high heels needed, or red lipstick, or a whip.
I mean, Totally. Bring your high heels, your red lipstick, and your whip to my fire, please. Anyway, we digress again. The moral to the story is when we're sitting on a computer or on a screen, we're watching Netflix or whatever it is to calm down, which is totally fun. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying, like, just be aware. Our body is receiving this message that says it's at least 2 or 3 hours before sleep. Right? So a really great practice is to turn off the screens 2 hours before going to sleep. And this is when we would, you know, with our girls in our workshops and stuff, we would recommend that they step into the sexual self-care practices and the things that make you feel juicy and doing your creative projects and reading a book.
Yeah.
Hugging your partner for longer than 5 minutes. Have a good snog.
Yeah.
By candlelight or something, you know, like turning down the lights and coming to a place of saying, okay, I'm aware that we are living a really high power life and that's cool, you know, like having a sexy, inspiring life that is moving towards all of the adventure and fun. There's nothing wrong with that, but we have to balance it out.
I want to spit a bit. Thank you, darling. You know, it's that remindance. Is that a word?
Remindance.
It's the remindance.
It is now.
It's the reminders. We need our own dictionary. Where we have given our life over to others, where we're more involved in strangers' lives and the things that they do, the stuff that they upload, than we are in the life in front of us, the person in front of us, or within our own self-pleasure, our own self adoring practices that we would sit and watch others do their life. And of course, what comes with that is like, I'm not good enough, I should be doing more, I should be doing that, whilst we're just watching them. But I wanted to speak further to the fact of where cortisol, or where we sit in a level of trauma and go, well, this is all that I deserve. So speaking about this screen practice, going like, and we all see it, going out when you notice couples or even groups of friends, when they're together, but they're on their phone, they're together. And like, especially here in, you know, tourist Puerto Vallarta, where I live in Mexico, going to restaurants and seeing Westerners that are traveling, spending their time on the phone watching other people do stuff instead of really enjoying the person's company. Because we've also become like, it's just insane to me.
When in Mexico, do what the Mexicans
watch
do.
others on the screen. But then looking at it in a relationship type of, when you're going out, why go out to lunch? Why go out to lunch with your partner? Why meet up with your beloved for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner? Because you feel obliged to, that you should, and then spend that time on the screen. This also comes down to, like, I know both you and I, when we work with couples, we speak about this. We spend way too much bloody time with each other. You don't have to have 7 mornings of breakfasts together, 7 dinners together, 7 lunches together. Like, just cut that in half and spend quality time with each other. And if you are going to see each other each time, know that it's intentional, and do it in smaller amounts than having to be obliged. Because I think a lot of the obligation, the feeling that this is what we should be doing, and our nervous system is just shut off, going, well, I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. I'd rather be doing something else. So then we just zone out. And so the other person receives, yeah, it's like, well, we're just going through the motions. I'm not interesting enough. I'm not this enough. I'm not that, whatever it is. But we come so used to that we shut ourselves down to our truth. The fucking truth is, this is not okay. I don't want to sit at a dinner table, at a breakfast table. I don't want to sit with you, my beloved, on the other side, looking at a screen, like putting in that boundary. And we're afraid of putting in these boundaries. We're afraid of standing up for ourselves. We have a mass, even women have, really shut themselves down, and men have emasculated themselves in that. And this is the trauma in the nervous system of what it's like to actually be truthful, the constant fight and flight. And so for me, with the screens, it's two things going on. It's looking at the screen, the adrenaline, the dopamine, the cortisol, the lack of, and then your partner's on the other side is also going through lack of. They're not interesting enough for you to pay them attention or to have a conversation or just sit in silence and do inquiry or be truthful, going, we've had 5 breakfasts in a row. Why don't we go and do our own things and meet up in 12 hours time when we really want to be with each other?
I love that. Thank you so much for bringing that up. Because, this essentially is the biggest part of this conversation. The amount of trauma that we carry in us because of obligation-based experiences that we've had before. And so many of us come from this place of all we want to do is please our partner. We just want the other person to be happy. But when we don't have our needs and our interests and the things that keep us unique and juicy in the center, and when we don't have our no on board or maintaining our no, that's when relationships become this place where we are no longer going to celebrate life together. The relationship becomes the place that we go to lose ourselves. And the minute that we've lost ourselves, you're no longer the person that your beloved fell in love with. That person is gone in a sea of all the shit that they believe that they have to do and the hoops that they have to jump through in order to be loved. We come as this really whole and beautiful, shiny individual. And then as soon as the nervous system kicks in to like this question of like, oh my God, I've got feels, and what does that mean? And we have so much association around what being in a couple looks like. See, I love what you just said. We don't need to do breakfast together out of obligation every day. But every relationship's unique. And some couples, that might be the best part of their entire day. It might be that they just sit there giggling the whole freaking time, and it sets them up into this really beautiful thing. And what I love about this is that when you come from a place of nervous system calm, you get to explore what feels light and what feels heavy.
I think that is definitely the key. What feels light and what feels heavy? How does it feel to be in this situation as opposed into obligation? And I want to come back to what you were talking about, just to tie this in around wanting to be in a relationship. You said something about safety, because the way that most of us are in relationship doesn't create safety. We're in fear all the time of rejection. So we keep on placating ourselves. We keep holding our words back. We act in a way just because what we assume the other needs us to be and needs us to act. So we become freaking well untrustworthy. Both parties are untrustworthy. And this is a deeper conversation, and like it'd be so amazing to do a whole,
oh my God, totally. Yes, please. Let's do that next week.
We will do that. Yes. Where's your no? Your no will bring you more orgasms. It's a fact. But the fact of safety, to be in a relationship, but the relationships we're often in, that people are often in, are not safe because they're not truthful. It's built on a foundation of assumption. And so then, of course, we know that. How does that feel? And our pelvises are often contracted, spend most of the day in contraction. The stomach is, and we're holding ourselves back. We see the messages come through from our partners. We're consistently navigating back and forth what's going on. And the nervous system is in constant fight
Am
and
I
flight
safe?
at one level.
Am I
Whether it's
safe?
high. Sorry?
Yeah, it's constantly. Exactly. I was just being the
Yeah.
nervous system saying, am I safe?
Am I saying?
Am
I
I
think you're
safe?
saying namaste.
Namaste,
Namaste.
bitches.
Namaste. Peace out, dude.
Namaste. My favorite
Mama
is
sprayed.
namaste.
Oh, namaste. You said mama sprayed.
The crazy in me bows before the crazy in you. Namaste.
Oh my God. Word association. Here we go.
Yeah, but coming back to what you were saying,
Mm.
this is so important because it really is like throughout the day, that is where it's at. Am I safe?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we alter our behavior. That's why we don't maintain our no. And I feel like you were going somewhere, and I'm sorry.
That's okay. I don't know where I was going, but I can go somewhere else now. I'm always happy to turn a corner. Am I safe? That question that is deeply rooted within us is set from the moment that we were conceived to about 7, 8 years of age. So you may think that you're a fully fledged adult. Adulting, but I got news for you. You're not adulting. It's your little child freaking the fuck out. Going, if I speak up, if I say no, if I express that I don't want to do this, if I actually want to stay home alone, if I actually don't want to really do all of these family things, I'm going to be rejected and I'll be ousted out and I will die. So to continually belong in this relationship, I need to maneuver my behavior in ways that I think will keep me safe. Excuse me, I'm really collecting frogs right now in today's episode. So yeah, the perceived perception of safety, but it doesn't make us trustworthy. If we're not telling the truth, it's felt. This is coming back to what you were saying. Does it feel light or heavy? We can feel it when someone's not telling us the truth. When we feel like we've been able to manipulate someone or we're being manipulated, but we often don't speak it. We don't bring it up. We don't go, that doesn't feel good. We're like, okay, awesome. Okay, so you're coming to the soccer match. Okay, awesome. And then there's all of these bickering and fights and like you're annoyed because you're not getting the presence from your partner that you really want at the event, but your partner's there because they don't want to be there. All of these things. I'm not talking about that we don't do things together because there are some things because it means something to us. But when we're consistently living from this place that things don't feel that light, they do feel heavy, and we override it. And we've been overriding these messages ever since we're young. It's really normal. And it becomes a habit. It becomes an absolute habit to override the messages that our body's giving us.
For sure. And that is a perfect segue into what I was feeling to share, is the awareness around different attachment styles. So the anxious attachment style is feeling like you would do anything to be by your partner's side. And when you're not there, you're needing constant reminders that you're safe. And any of you that are having this experience, I really want to reach out and give you a cuddle, because experiencing, like Melissa was just saying, from a young age, if you've grown up with alcohol abuse, substance abuse, violence and abuse in your family, there's a really high chance that your nervous system has been pre-programmed to be the peacemaker and to constantly be checking outside of yourself to see if everything is okay. And so the peacemakers of the world often have the anxious attachment style. This is where codependency as the giver and the rescuer come in. So, an anxious attachment style is more likely to move towards rescuing someone from themselves and making sure everything is okay in order to receive love. An anxious attached person finds it difficult to walk away, even for a minute, So instead of going, do you know what? I really want to go for a swim this morning. I appreciate that you just invited me for breakfast and I love our breakfast together, but my soul needs to go and just splash around in the surf or whatever it is, whatever your flow is. The anxious attachment style has so much programming around it not being safe to leave the person, right? And this could come from, it wasn't safe to leave my alcoholic parent on their own because I come back and I've got a shit show to clean up. Or it wasn't safe to leave my ex narcissistic cheating partner because I come back and they've had sex with a whole bunch of people in an hour. I find all these messages as women knocking on my door, all the things, or men, because it's not gender specific. And so from this place of understanding what attachment style you are. Now there's the avoidant, and the avoidant will avoid talking about anything so that everything just remains perfect on the surface. But what happens in that is brushing things under the carpet, like Melissa was just saying. The people around you can feel that there's stuff that's unspoken. And the funny thing is, attached and avoidant are attracted to each other. So here now you have this avoidant. Oh, no, we don't need to talk about it. Let's just go and have breakfast, right? Let's just go, let's go and do fabulous things. We don't need to talk about it. And that's really fucking cool. Except the anxious attachment person is there the whole time going, but what's really happening in the background? And I need to know the information. And if I don't find out this information, and before you know it, there's a collision happening where both parties, both parties' nervous system doesn't feel safe at that point, because the avoidant is avoiding having a conversation because they have this cellular memory, a trauma loop of conversations leading to violence, leading to mental health imbalance, all this stuff. So the core wound is the same, the dysfunctional relationships, which, I mean, I don't know anyone who doesn't have some kind of history of dysfunction. And if you do,
it's a human condition.
If you do, high five. I'm really happy for you. Please reach out.
Let's interview you to see.
But the point, exactly. But the point of this is, like, many of our listeners here will be in recovery from being an addict, or being in an abusive relationship, or being the daughter or the son of an addict, or any of these things. And this is for you, because it doesn't have to stay the same way. We don't have to stay in our trauma. And that's what Melissa and I do. We teach people how to have excellent relationships, how to have the conversations that sound like, hey, babe, thank you so much for the invite. I'm actually needing some time in my own heart. I'm going to go and have fun at the beach. I'll catch up with you later.
That just reminds me of, like, one of the most favorite things. I mean, and this is gender specific because men don't claim enough time that they need. But just when you were saying that, I was just remembering, like, when I get to share with my male clients, it's like, you need to have more time alone. And that permission to, because we're coming from when a lot of time when we're speaking once again about what happens when we're children, but it also comes from the place of when we weren't allowed to lock our doors, when we weren't allowed to have our own space, where when we're in the room alone, we had to do stuff for the family, we had to work, we had to contribute, we had to do all of this stuff.
Oh
And our
my God,
time
such a good point.
alone, yeah, our time alone was never honored or even asked, do you need time alone? Have you had time alone today? Have you rested today? I know, being raised on the land in Australia, there was our door was knocked on every morning at 6:30 a.m. and you're bullied if you're called lazy, all of that stuff. So anyway, that's a lot of people have backgrounds of that, of the constant. So yeah, time alone is really frightening for many people to ask for, to claim, and to take as if there's something wrong. I remember when and actually someone was talking about it the other day. They had the same experience from their family. But I often say that the father of my child, who I was with for 5 years, he would have to every 3 months leave the country for his visa because he was on a tourist visa. So every 3 months he would go back to Europe. It was like the best week of the 3 months. I loved it. And my mother used to tell me I was so mean and nasty because she would say, do you miss him? I don't miss him.
Why would I miss him? It's only been
Why would I miss him? I'm with him for 3 months at a time. And then there's like, I'm getting 5 to 6 days off. Like, how much fun? So yeah, just bringing a personal story. And my dog, the second dog, has just barged in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. It's so valid. Like, how do we stoke our own fire when our person isn't there? And if men need to go and be alone to stoke their fire, to replenish the cortisol, the high testosterone, high cortisol, actually to rebuild testosterone
and get rid of cortisol,
and to bring down cortisol. And so the higher that your testosterone is, the more you will be able to make love to your person the way you want to. So that's why this alone time is incredibly important. And for women, we need to have time with our girls. We need a posse of women who've got our back, because when women spend time together, our hormones replenish. All of that sparkly juiciness comes back for us. And I feel like it's time to close, but I want to close with saying, no matter how burnt out you're feeling right now, it is our divine feminine path to be in our radiance. That is the thing that will keep bringing your person home to play with your soul and your body in all of the ways that you know are your birthright. So coming out of cortisol, high cortisol, and brothers, speaking to you, no matter how burnt out you are right now, you are consciousness. You are fucking amazing. We need you in your absolute strength.
I was just about to say that when you're saying about for the feminine, for the masculine, to be unapologetically male, to really, this is such a huge shift for the men at the moment, is to really coming out of that high cortisol, coming out of that place where they're emasculated by themselves and others and living a life that's not theirs.
Emotionally,
physically, and spiritually.
Oh my God, that's an entire conversation.
That's an entire season.
Because being entirely masculine, like what I see as a segue in this, what I see in so many beautiful men is this new way of embracing emotion. Like now there's this whole wave of our beautiful sensitive men and the sensitive new age guy movement, the snag thing. However, what we are calling forward is the integrated masculine. And that's different to being sensitive to the point where you're not in mastery of your emotions. And this goes to be said for both sexes. Because when we're in a state of emotional mastery, especially the brothers, when you're in a state of emotional mastery, you're able to be the witness and go, woo, look at her go. She's got so much fucking fire. She's got this thing happening, because that is the feminine. The feminine is chaos itself. And the more radiant and more sparkly your woman is, the more in touch with her emotions she's going to be. And that's why what Melissa just said, fucking own your masculine. Because the minute that you fall out of that place and you're in nervous system trauma loop response from a place of, oh my God, she's emotional. Now I feel emotional. I'm totally offended by what she said. Like, I was chatting to one of my lovers this morning and he said a thing and I was like, I'm a little bit, I don't know how I feel about that. And I said a few other things and he goes, that's okay.
Awesome. Yeah, fucking awesome. It's fine that you don't feel okay. I still said it. It's
okay that you're having this feeling. It's okay that you're having this response. I'm just standing here loving you. Look at you. You're beautiful. I'm here. And that was all I needed. It just, whereas he could have taken offense to the emotion I was having, because it was clear. I had fire in my eyes. I was like, I don't understand the thing that just happened. I had fire in my eyes and he just stood in front of my fire and held his own energy.
Yeah, not taking things personally. That's awesome.
And that's truly the person who is holding the masculine container, truly owning our masculine, is that. And we can do that. Melissa and I do that in our business partnership. One of us will stand in that masculine energy and be like, okay, I'm witnessing you. I've got you. And then it switches. And this is a big part of coming out of the nervous system trauma loops, is understanding it's like I'm still connected to internet. Hello, love.
Hello, love, you're back.
Oh, it's my internet's unstable.
Oh.
So yeah. Anyway, that feels, I feel complete now.
That just feels really complete and amazing. Thank you, darling. Thank you. I think it's really important.
You've got a men's course coming up. Can we talk about that?
I have got a 5-week program for men starting next Thursday, the 21st of April. And it's all about men's confidence in their cock. It is purely about your cock confidence as a man, this word master is something that I'm still going to say it, mastering your ejaculation, but we have life to keep on shifting and chasing, but how to really cultivate your sexual energy, use it in your own body, using it in your brain so that you can hold strong, that no matter what happens, no matter what your woman throws at you, emotional, if you're in the middle of fucking a woman and she starts crying, you have got that space. You've got it handled. Things get really hot and bothered and you do end up having a soft cock. You have got that handled. If you do ejaculate earlier than she was hoping it, you've got it. It's around the resolve in your heart. Mastering your sexual energy is not just about lasting longer. I used to, last 7 minutes. Now I last, 85 minutes. it is a huge part of it, but it's actually about your resolve as the man to be able to handle no matter what life throws at you. And that's the absolute glory of your sexual energy, because your sexual energy as a man is designed for your own wealth, for your mission. The more that you have this sexual energy within you that you are cultivating, you become clearer and clearer on your mission in life. And we need you, men. The world needs you. Us women are aching. Us women that love men are freaking aching for you men to stand up in who you are, to
Yeah.
be in your truth. And if you are a man that's addicted to porn, that's throwing his seed away, that is, ejaculating each time that you are aroused and doing this in a short time, you are disempowering yourself. You don't know the true power of what's within you. And we fucking well want that from you. So this 5-week program is all about that, all about your cock confidence, pelvic health, pelvic release, lengthen and strengthen. Of course, there's lots of bonuses on different practices you can take to your lover, but it's all about you. And it starts Thursday, April the 21st. Occupy your cock. The link is in all the bits underneath, wherever you're listening or watching this.
Oh my God, amazing. That is
Mhm.
so beautiful. And I'm an advocate. I think that what you just said was so perfect, because there are so many beautiful women that are aching and supporting you guys. Like, we've got you.
We want
We
more
love
of you. We
you.
want all of you
Yeah.
to fucking well come up and be in front of us. All of
That's
your
it.
truth, every part of it.
Totally. Yeah.
Mm,
The integrated masculine.
yes.
And if you want to book a sovereignty session with me, you can book in. The link is under the video. And I'm super grateful to be here with you today, beautiful Melissa.
Oh, this has been so much fun, honey. I'm so excited for our season 3 of Fat Chats, where
Me
we're all
too.
moving to. And stay tuned, lovers. Mexico
Yeah.
trip is in the making.
Yes, it is.
This is my pointer. For all of you that are listening on podcasts, I have a what? A penis, a floppy penis in my hand, pointing. I need to bring him out more.
You do. You should definitely keep him in your handbag all the time.
Which is a microphone. All right, lovers. Mwah. Have the most amazing afternoon.
Send us in your questions, feedback.
Yes,
Like,
please.
follow, share, please. Thank you so much. We appreciate your support.
Just throw us all around the world.
You
Splatter us around.
all around.
See you.
Mwah, ciao.